Hey, what's up, guys? This is Chase with the Hanging With Azarian podcast, episode number 4. This episode, I have my roommate Jake Mueller on as we talk about how Disney kind of ruins all their movies, including Star Wars, how movie theaters are really dying out now, and also a little bit of Bumble talk. So I hope you stick around and enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening. Now we're good to go. Should we just hop right into it?
Now we're on a podcast.
Yeah, now we're on a podcast. So this is Hang With Azarian, episode 4. Took a little week off for Thanksgiving. Actually, technically, it'll be 2 weeks off because I'm going to post this like 6 days from now.
Because you ate too much.
I ate too much, yeah. And I felt very lazy, and I just had a lot of shit going on, which I'm sure we could talk about.
Yes.
Had a little pyramid scheme.
It was a busy week.
It was a busy week. But this is my roommate, Jake. Met Jake.
That's me.
Yeah, I met him about, I guess, 2 years ago now. Damn.
It's been about 2 years now. Yeah. We met.
Do you remember
approximately
how we met?
2 days after I moved to Orlando, and
Same
I have
here.
no idea how. Somehow we were both at a party, and that's all I know.
It was a pregame with like these, because we were in a group chat of like, they called it Tipsy Mickey's, mind you, which was
By DJ Q. Tipsy Mickey by DJ
Yes.
Q.
And we were like, me and my roommate Brock at the time were like, okay, we gotta find people that are just cool in Disney, to put lightly.
Because here's the thing, when you're coming down to do Disney, to do the college program,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not banking on anyone being cool. I'm not to be mean, but I just wasn't banking on that when I thought about the Disney college program. So I was like, I got to get in this group message. People are going out. Senior Frogs on Tuesday. I got to be there. Hosted by DJ Q. Yeah. So we ended up at this pregame, and then all I know is we were there, and then we were friends the next few days. I'm not sure exactly how.
Yeah, I don't know how it went from there, but it was kind of like this group chat of 150 people, right? And everyone's like, yeah, this is going to be the first pregame, so me and Brock are going to go in there thinking there's going to be like the good 30 people. It's me, Brock, Jake, our boys at the time, Malik and Matt, our friend Tara, and like 3 other people, probably. That was it.
And the 3 girls, Erica,
that got kicked out immediately.
Erica, the girl from London.
Adam here already.
What's the girl from London's name that we met at that pregame?
I don't know. That was there.
But a girl from London.
Fitting.
Yeah. And we became friends from there. So, time came where I was looking for apartment roommates, and here we are.
And a disaster happened, and now here we are.
Now here we are. Adam, you can walk past. You're good, man.
Yeah,
Say hi to the camera. He walked in front of the camera too.
There's not much room behind him. You should have climbed over the counter.
Anyway,
But yeah, so we all needed roommates, and we were already friends, so we got this place here at Sable Palms.
Yes,
Very
sir.
nice. I shouldn't have said that out loud. on the
Very
podcast.
nice.
I hope no one comes into Texas.
Yeah, I think there's enough people that know Borat by now, but I brought Jake on just because he's my homie for sure, and he even did the graphics for this podcast, so it's almost like an obligation. I have to have the man that made my cover art here.
It's only fitting that if I got paid for the work, that I also had to be on.
You had to be on the podcast.
Had to be on the podcast. It was in the contract.
Of course.
Yeah.
So here we are. We have a couple things we want to talk about. I didn't know what I was going to talk with Jake about at first, but then we had this passionate conversation for like a half hour with our roommate Adam, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, about how shitty Star Wars has become.
It's just getting bad.
It's just gotten really bad.
Warped. From the first 3 to now, it's just bad.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
warped.
And it got to the point where I could kind of talk about Disney more so because I'm officially laid off as of yesterday.
Yeah. Nice.
So I'm out of the system. Jake is on his way out.
I have 30 days, but I'm not gonna. It's fine. I'm not gonna.
Exactly. So
I don't hate it that much. Just Star Wars.
Just Star Wars. Yeah.
Just Star Wars.
I mean, we could kind of, I guess, touch on because it is a filmmaking podcast too, so we could talk about like Disney as a whole and how they make movies now, compared to what Disney movies used to be.
That is true. Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that.
Well, here we are thinking about it.
I didn't even think about that, but the difference now is the stupid humor is my big thing now compared to back then. I just felt like everything was
better,
funnier. I don't know, like traditionally funny.
And I know we're adults now, but it's like everything. And when I say Disney movie, I don't mean like, I'm not expecting the Frozen movie to make me laugh.
Cars.
Yeah, but something like more so the Marvel movies, the Star Wars movies.
Or like back in the day, like Treasure Island. You know, like that movie.
Treasure Planet? Or are you talking about Treasure Island?
I'm talking about with the scurvy pirate Treasure Island, the big time back in the day of Disney. That's what I thought you were talking about.
No, Treasure Planet was
good
old
old Swiss Family Robinson family humor.
Yeah.
And now we're making prank calls to the Supreme Leader. It makes sense.
I don't know. We went down the rabbit hole of just shitty movies. So I guess let's tackle Star Wars first. Before we even get into like new Star Wars, what was your opinion on Star Wars before like you even worked for Disney? Before you even before even Disney bought it? You know what I'm saying?
That was a good question because I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in general to start. You know, like the first 3 that came out, meaning Episode 4, 5, and 6, were fine. You know,
we're fine. Okay.
I mean, they were more than fine, but like they were fine. You know, like there was nothing I was like super amazed. It's not like I was seeing space for the first time like our parents were. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay, like this is cool. They shoot some lasers, like the laser swords. This is sweet. So I like the movies, but it wasn't like the best thing I'd ever seen. You know what I mean? But then like the Force Awakens games, like that's the best Star Wars. When I was younger,
Force Awakens games. Oh, you mean Force Unleashed games?
The Force Unleashed games.
Okay,
I'm sorry, not the Force Awakens. The Force Unleashed games was like that was Star Wars that I love. I was like, oh yeah, this Skywalker trilogy is cool, but the rest of it is awesome.
Crazy. Yeah.
I love the rest of it. Yeah, the rest is sweet. I like the concept. So the first 3 movies I thought were like fine. You know, they're okay. I like them. They're better than average. You know, they all got 4 stars on Letterboxd.
Okay, yes, and gotta plug it already.
That's the key. They all have 4 stars on Letterboxd. And then the new ones then what's next? The prequels?
Prequels would be next. Yeah.
Oh man. Jar Jar Binks really ruined those for me. That was just. Yeah.
I don't think it's I think it's objectively bad, but I don't think it bothers me as much. Well, we'll get into the debate of I think the prequels are better than the new Disney movies.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah, I could agree with that actually.
Okay,
just for the story.
Oh, just for the story.
just for the story, yeah. But the prequels, I do like those. They're fine. Jar Jar Binks really kind of ruined them, but Liam Neeson really saved them.
Liam Neeson was cool, but he's only in the first one, though.
Yeah, but, you know, then Ewan McGregor saved the day, and it was fine. And then the third one, you know, I know you like the third one a lot.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and, say it's one of the best ever made. So I guess before we get into the new stuff, my history with Star Wars, Star Wars was, my shit as a kid. I remember one of the first movies not to say it spewed my passion for movies, but I remember being 6 or 7 years old, and I had gotten a couple presents for my birthday. Well, no, I had a couple presents for my birthday. It was in a wrestling bag because I was wrestling at the time. Oh, okay. And one of the things was Attack of the Clones on DVD. That was the first Star Wars movie I saw.
That's pretty sweet.
It was pretty hard, yeah.
I thought you were going to say an action figure or something. And I was like, I got a story.
Yeah, no, nothing like that yet. But I would have friends growing up that had the lightsabers and shit, and we'd fight, but I had no idea what the fuck we were doing.
You were just hitting each other.
Yeah, I didn't know it was movie related. I didn't, at least from what I remember, I didn't know anything Star Wars.
It was the next long skinny thing that wasn't a stick.
Yeah, exactly.
Your friend with.
Exactly. But that's all I knew. And then I watched the action scenes on the DVD. I was like, oh, this shit's cool. I like this.
You saw the flips and parkour.
Yeah, I was like, great. Fuck, I'm in for sure.
Little did you know Hayden Christensen was a parkour master.
Absolutely. And I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith, the third one, the sixth one. What? If you don't know Star Wars, it probably confuses the shit out of you.
The third episode, my mom can't get it.
Yeah.
The third episode, right?
Episode 3.
Sixth one that came out.
Sixth one that came out. Right. I saw that shit in theaters. I loved it as a kid. I thought it was awesome. As I got older,
it was awesome as a kid in theaters. I will admit that.
Okay.
As a kid in theaters, it was incredible.
That was
growing up. Yeah. It really doesn't deliver.
Fair. I think I watched all of them.
Count Dooku was unbelievable.
Count Dooku was sweet. Rest in peace. Fuck, I forget his name.
He died.
Christopher Lee.
He died?
He died a couple years ago, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's really sad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was mad old, though. He was 80 or 90 something. He looked good for his age.
Good for him, yeah. He had a good life. Okay.
I could have completely made that up, but I think he was old as shit and held it up pretty well.
But so the third one was awesome.
I think the third one's still awesome. I think
the third one is awesome. They use the Force and lightsabers really good in that one.
Yeah.
Compared, I know that sentence sounded really dumb, but they do use the Force and lightsabers better in that than they use them in the other movie. The director utilizes.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
Not the actual characters, but it's shown on camera a lot more. I think.
And it looks the most
clean.
If I was watching the originals as a kid and I thought a time where all these Jedi were doing all this crazy shit, Revenge of the Sith would be that movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, it would be
true.
crazy.
Yeah. That is true.
In that sense, I think it was awesome. As I got older, I kind of thought whatever of Star Wars. Like, I still like all the original movies. It's like childhood. It's like Toy Story. Like Toy Story is still great,
but they're fun.
Yeah, but like it's the nostalgia part of it that makes me like appreciate it more than the actual. Exactly. It's a great
especially
movie.
Toy Story 1, because Toy Story 2 is really where it comes.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess it's my history with Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we always talked about as kids was because Revenge of the Sith dropped. I want to say when we were in like 3rd or 4th grade. Like
it was It was somewhere around there.
Yeah,
it was when we were younger.
So it was around the time when we were dreaming like, oh, what if Star Wars 7 comes out one day? You know what I mean? Like you would talk about all the shit that could happen.
And I never thought Star Wars 7 was going to happen. I mean, that was like an unrealistic thought.
Like it was kind of a joke that people would be like Star Wars 7 and like
Star Wars 7. No, never.
Yeah.
Who else but Bobby Iger?
But Bobby Iger, baby. So if you don't know the history of how Disney acquired Star Wars. I
don't think I do.
I don't know the entire story, so I'm going to just preface that with I don't know everything that happened, but it's in Bob Iger's book.
I read the book. I should know it.
I want to read Bob Iger's book, and I want to read, I just brought it from home. I got it a couple years ago. It's called How Star Wars Conquered the Galaxy, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like from the inception of how George Lucas came up with the idea to how it became the biggest fucking thing of all time.
I will say, since we're on this sidetrack, that Bob Iger's book is the best book of, I guess I got it in 2020. That's by far the best book of 2020 that I read.
I don't read enough recent books to know what's the best of 2020, but I'll take your word for it.
Me neither, but it's the best book I read in 2020.
Okay.
And Bob Iger's book was incredible. If you're a Disney fan, read it. All the backstory, all the backstage.
Even if you're not like
sweet.
A Disney fan, I feel like just the
and if you want to be successful in general, that guy, he's got it, and he's got all the cool stories. Anything from the Olympics to crocodile attacks. He's got it all.
Crocodile attacks.
That kid got attacked at Disney.
That's what you meant. I was like, he fought a crocodile.
No, he didn't buy a crocodile.
Yeah,
but they got attacked and he dealt with it. Or he sent someone else to deal with it.
So I'm gonna have to read the book, but from what I know, Bob Iger goes to Lucas or Kathleen Kennedy, whoever's in charge.
Lucas, I think.
Yeah. So George Lucas, the guy that made Star Wars, was always, I think, pretty good friends with Kathleen Kennedy growing up in the sense that like George Lucas was close with Steven Spielberg.
I'm not sure how Kathleen Kennedy is linked, to be honest.
Well, Kathleen Kennedy's been
She's
producing
the president
movies
right now. I know that.
Of Star Wars.
Of Star Wars right now until she gets fired and Jon Favreau takes over.
Yeah, well, that
until
too.
Then, that's all I know about her. Yeah. She's the president, so I'm not sure how she fits.
And people hate on her, kind of, but she's produced a ton of shit. I don't know the filmography, but she did all the Indiana Jones. Pretty sure she did Jurassic Park. Like she's close with Spielberg, and Spielberg's close with Lucas. So I'm assuming they had a close relationship.
Her previous work before taking over Star Wars was great.
Before taking over Star Wars, and then they kind of went to George Lucas. I forget how much they bought it for. I think they bought it for something like $5 billion. Or
it was something wild. It was an astronomical amount.
But even. I feel like Star Wars is worth more than $5 billion at the same time, though.
Yeah, they made $1 billion off all 3 movies in theaters.
Yeah, easily. I think the first one made $2 billion.
In theater, in the box office. There's no telling what they've made off.
Yeah, all the merch. They made a whole fucking theme park.
They made off Baby Yoda merch. They made a whole theme park. I worked there. They made a whole theme park.
I worked at the theme park.
They made a whole theme park.
Yeah.
The Baby Yoda merch, there's no telling how much it's worth. The theme park... Let me tell you how I know Star Wars is worth more than $5 billion at the theme park. It cost $200 to build a lightsaber. And you're in there for 25 minutes, and if you can't get your thing right, the guy just walks up and does it for you. So you don't even build it yourself. You build the whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, that's how you do it. Oh, well, that was my $200. Bummer. That's how I know it's worth more than $5.
That's what I'm saying.
$5 billion.
So either way, that's the price. That's what it's sold for. And George Lucas, or Bob Iger in his book, says something along the lines of like George Lucas felt betrayed by the end of it, which we'll get to.
He felt betrayed by the end of it, but yeah.
Well, it was something along the lines of George Lucas was like, you don't have to run with this idea, which obviously they're not going to run with George Lucas's idea.
Yeah, which they should have.
But
looking back in hindsight, 2020.
Yeah, in hindsight, 2020. So Lucas was like, here's my ideas, and they kind of said, okay, we'll consider it, and kind of said, fuck that.
Put him to the...
they literally just went like that with his ideas.
We'll consider it,
Yeah, exactly. And George Lucas was always shit on, I feel like, until the Disney movies came out, because they said he ruined it with the prequel.
They did say that, and he's been proven right since then. He's been in the right.
Well, because everyone's on his side now, and it's also like, I feel like with time, like the prequels, they're not good. They're not as good as the originals either, but they're not like the worst movies ever.
Number one, The Phantom Menace is one of the worst movies ever, but the next two are fine. I mean, like, the Attack of the Clones. There's the huge battle scene, definitely,
which was cool,
and the whole the rain planet. What's it called? You told me the other day. Yavin 4.
Camino. That's how you know I was into Star Wars.
Camino, yeah.
I knew all this because Battlefront 2 growing up, bro, the best game of all time. I knew those maps. Like
of course, of course. But so, that kind of saved it. Number 3, the writing's bad, but everything else is great.
Yeah, well,
like we said, like the whole, everything else about it is fantastic.
Yeah, George Lucas was always, other directors talk about how George Lucas loves writing and he loves creating worlds, which you can tell with the prequels.
Right.
But he doesn't really like directing, and I think it kind of shows.
I can see that.
Like,
I've never
just,
heard that.
He doesn't like working with actors, and it comes across, so...
He's great at his job. He needs to hire other people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why he thinks the prequels weren't as good, because he was like, I have all these ideas, but I don't want to direct. That's why the original Star Wars is directed by Lucas, but Empire and Return of the Jedi aren't. They're other people.
Really?
Even though he came up with all the worlds, the script,
that's
and all
interesting, because number 4 is the weakest out of, or the first one I think is the weakest out of the 3 originals.
I'd probably agree. Yeah,
the next 2 are definitely better, so I'm not surprised by that. That just stinks for him.
Yeah.
That he's a bad director. I mean, he
suck.
still directed them, though.
Yeah, I mean, he still got the credit, but regardless, that's how he felt about directing, so him selling it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and I could see how, like, selling something like that you created, and then, you know what I mean? Like, I could see how he felt wronged or betrayed, because that was, like, his thing. That's his whole life.
And the fact that his story of, like, him going to every studio and pitching Star Wars, which we know is now, and now everyone being like, no one's going to fucking watch this. Like, it's crazy.
I know, and that's just his thing that he saw doing that, knocking on doors all the way through, and now you've sold to Disney, and they just... Goodbye. We don't care about your ideas. See ya. We're done with you. And I would feel betrayed too. I can understand that. I bet it feels like getting laid off from Magic Kingdom.
Which we can relate to. For sure.
I bet it's very similar to getting laid off from Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. So that whole thing happens, and now let's actually talk about the movies. So,
he felt betrayed.
He felt betrayed
when. You're right. So he felt betrayed. Okay. I thought there was more to the story. I thought and then he sells it, and then he just feels betrayed, or that
was his part of it. So before we even talk about the actual movies, I think the next part of the history. So when Kathleen Kennedy takes over, right?
Right.
I think the important thing, and no matter what we're about to talk about, I think if you like the new Star Wars movies, like who fucking cares? Enjoy them. I don't care.
Yeah. If you like the new Star Wars movies, I'm glad.
And it ends there.
Because it means you like a lot of stuff. I'm very excited for you.
So
they're good.
They're fine.
They're fine.
They're not even fine.
The last number 9 is number 8 and 9 are not fine. Number 7 is fine.
Number 7 was fine. I haven't watched 7 again since 8 and 9 though.
But if you like these movies, good for you. This is just our opinion.
And now we're gonna talk about why they fucking suck.
Now we're gonna talk about why they're terrible.
Yeah. So forget if you're a Star Wars fan. I think the making of these movies is so interesting because I've never seen a studio.
It is.
In the grand scheme of things, fuck up something so bad.
It's incredible that also not even just a studio, the biggest studio that owns studios that own studios. Like Disney has to be the biggest like media situation going on right now, right? So how in the world did they mess this up? Of all people, a storytelling company. It just doesn't make any sense.
And it's wild because it's the most basic shit. So if you want to know why the new movies weren't that good, it's because they didn't even have a plan for the 3 movies, which is crazy to think about.
Disney, the storytelling company, didn't have a story for the 3 movies. They just filmed it.
They said, we're going to make a trilogy, and then they told J.J. Abrams, yo, just write the first one. And that's it. So
that happened. So they were going to make a trilogy,
that's
and
like
they said we're only going to write the first one,
and we'll figure out the other 2 later.
Okay,
that's wild, right? And it makes sense why.
Maybe they needed the challenge.
They needed the challenge.
Maybe they needed the challenge.
They failed the challenge. Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy, you just said she made so many successes. She wanted the challenge of saying.
I mean, maybe, but either way,
write a story first.
She failed. Write a story. Just come up with an idea and know. You don't need to know every detail, but you should know how it's going to end. At least.
If anything, you should know how it's going to end. If anything, before writing the beginning, you should know how it's going to end. That's a fact. But so they tell him to write this first movie, and then
He writes it.
and then he writes the first one.
And everyone, even though Force Awakens is the same thing as A New Hope, everyone at least enjoyed it. Like, it was a fun, good movie.
Now that we're on to bashing, let's not only say is it the same thing as The New Hope. This was the third Death Star. Death Star, it was a planet. The third one, though, that was blown up the same way as all the other ones.
Yeah.
Disaster.
So
Don't.
like, just if you watch them back to back, they're the same movie. Because I think the last time I watched,
definitely are.
the last time I watched all the Star Wars movies was right before Force Awakens came out. Because I hadn't seen them in
Because you got to get
years.
the recap. Of
Yeah.
course. Everyone had to get the recap.
Yeah, of course. And I hadn't seen them in years, and I was like, okay.
It was number
it's
7.
time to
It's
revisit.
been 20 years.
Yeah, it was the thing I was talking about since being a kid. It was like,
Exactly.
okay, I gotta
This is coming
see
out,
what the hype
yeah.
is about. So that comes out. I saw Force Awakens more than any other movie in theaters.
Whoa.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen Force Awakens?
4 or 5 times
And that-
in theaters.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
Incredible.
It came in a point in my life where I was like, I need some good Star Wars, and I was a big fan.
Okay.
I didn't think it was like the best one or anything, but just the theater experience of
It
it.
was a good Star Wars movie, though,
Yeah, it was-
especially in theaters.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it was a fun theater experience. I think before that, the most I saw was like The Dark Knight 3 times, or I saw Wolf of Wall Street 2 or 3
well, and
times.
especially because when number 7 came out, it was stupid hyped. I mean,
Yeah.
just unbelievably hyped. And then like I was kind of hyped for 8. Like I was excited for 8, and then number 9 I went in knowing it was going to be bad.
Well, yeah,
so
but-
like that, I think that built it up hype plus not even knowing what the story was going to be. I was like, oh yeah, like this could be cool. Like I'm at the end of that movie, I was okay.
Yeah.
I feel set up. Like I feel Rey,
you say
Kylo,
setup,
feels
yeah.
good,
You say setup because what was cool about 7 was I thought, even though it had its problems, it was a really good movie, but it implied that a lot of cool shit was going
It
to happen.
implied a lot of cool stuff that just never even got mentioned yet was going to happen. It was incredible.
So then we get to The Last Jedi, and I should preface, if you haven't seen Star Wars in general, you're probably not even listening to this point of the
Exactly.
podcast.
Yeah.
But
If you haven't seen Star Wars, you're not listening. But if you still are, go watch it.
yeah, just to understand, like,
It's a cultural thing you got to see at least once.
well, no, I agree
At
with
least
that,
once.
but it's just baffling how, like, well, first of all, The Last Jedi is one of the most divisive movies. Obviously, I'm into movies. There's a lot of people that say The Last Jedi is, without question, one of the best.
I
Forget
don't
Star
know what
Wars.
they're thinking.
People say it's one of the best blockbusters ever made.
They need to be mentally checked. Something they need an IQ test or something. I don't know what they're thinking. We watch different movies. I don't know what they're thinking.
I remember.
What's the argument? Do you know?
What is the argument?
Do you know what their argument is for saying that that's the best movie?
Not
even. Do you know what their argument is for not even the best Star Wars for being a best blockbuster movie?
the only part I could agree with is visually it looks cool in parts. There's parts that look really bad, like when she's flying through space, like she dies.
She does. Yeah.
And this
she
was
does.
right after Carrie Fisher actually died.
So let's remember that they saved a person in the movie that was dead in real life and
They
killed
killed the other two.
other person. And
Yeah.
it made no sense. There were 2 characters that could have took her spot and gone,
Yeah.
just done for.
And
And they
you can't get that
and they
back.
CGI'd her into the next movie in scenes that actually didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
They could have let her die a heroic death.
And that was it. But
And I would have been fine with the way she died right there. Like, that was cool.
when she blew up,
And then she was floating through space. I was, like, not upset with that. And then she saved herself, and I was really upset. I was not upset with her dying like that.
I thought it was the most baffling move. When that happened, I couldn't even fathom. Like, I remember I was so hyped going to The Last Jedi because I saw Force Awakens 5 fucking times in theaters.
Yeah, so you were hyped. And it was good. I was hyped for 2.
But imagine my face when I see Carrie Fisher, who just died like a year ago, before that, whenever that was.
Right.
When they blow her up,
They did. They just blow the ship up and she's gone in
she
space.
flies out, and then she opens her eyes. I was like, oh no, get the fuck out of here. This is
That's
awful.
that's what I'm saying. It got blown up. It was kind of like a noble, like I'm staying on the ship, like going down with it type situation. And I was fine with it. She's floating through space. I was, oh, Carrie, and she died in real life. So I was like, oh, she's definitely dead right now. Like, Princess Leia's definitely dead. She's not coming back. And then her eyes opened, and I was, all right, this Rian Johnson guy sucks.
Well, Ryan Johnson doesn't suck. That's
Yeah,
it. Ryan
well-
Johnson being the director, if you
Yeah.
don't know.
And then Knives Out proved me wrong. Yeah, he made.
Well, I thought Knives Out was solid. I didn't think it was great.
I liked it.
Ryan Johnson made the best episode of television ever. He made Ozymandias from Breaking Bad, which, if you don't know, that's the third to last episode. The one where all the shit goes down at the very end of Breaking Bad.
I know you just told me. Which one is it?
It starts off in the desert.
Right.
With Hank.
It's been out for a long time.
Well, yeah, but
it's been out for a long time.
I know, but if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, it's like it's the episode.
It's
in the final season.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
In the desert, said enough.
And
we get it.
That when you're telling me that guy had Star Wars in his hands,
Yeah.
hell yeah, I'm gonna go see that movie. Are you kidding me? That's crazy.
And it was bad.
And it was bad. Well, I think the reason
He's going to have his own trilogy, which I know we're going to get to, because you're about to say, oh, the reason it was bad was because he had someone else's movie.
kind of. So
Okay.
think of it from this perspective, right?
Yeah.
I'm JJ, you're Ryan, right? Just think about it for a second.
I got to be Ryan. Okay.
They never put us in like the same room even really to talk about the overall idea.
That is
They
true.
went to me first. They're like, "Hey, we need you to write this movie." JJ's like, "Okay, I'm gonna come up with a bunch of ideas." And I never talked to you about these ideas. Maybe I did. Maybe it probably happened. But
you're writing the prequel to my movie.
yeah, exactly. But they say, "Thank you, JJ, Chase." Then they go to you, Jake, Ryan, and they go, "Okay, can you make a movie?"
Right, and they swap this like. Don't they swap directors after the movie? This isn't like before the movie's being made, isn't it? Like while it's being made, they swap directors?
So,
or was it beforehand?
Force Awakens comes out, and then a couple months later, they start shooting Last Jedi. So it's not like,
Right.
oh fuck, this movie already came out. He was like aware of.
Well, so were they
what was going
shooting? Were they shooting, and then J.J. Abrams dipped, and they put Ryan Johnson in?
No. Ryan was the guy from the start.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
JJ
okay.
wasn't even supposed to be the guy for 9 at first. It was supposed to be Colin Trevorrow, who made the last 2 Jurassic World movies. And Disney was like, "Oh no, the new Jurassic World suck. We're kicking you out."
Wow, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he had there's this whole other script online of like what his idea of Episode 9 was at first. And I was like,
Right.
"Damn, that sounds cool." But
Well,
it didn't happen.
Anything was better than what they did.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that in a
was bad. It
second
was
for
bad.
sure. But either way, it was kind of like Ryan Johnson being like, "You're giving me." There's a scene in I didn't watch the documentary yet, but I was telling you there's a documentary called
Right.
I think Directing the Jedi. I forget what it's actually called.
But it was about J.J.
making-
Abrams, though, right?
No, it's about Ryan Johnson with The Last Jedi.
Oh,
and
okay.
how
his
he's
problems from that whole situation.
not even his problems. It's just like there's scenes in there where I know this because I had to edit the Star Wars video for Let Me Explain for the YouTube guy I work for, and there's a clip where Ryan Johnson's signing the budget and he's like, "I'll never be handed this much money again to do whatever I want."
And it was still bad. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
And there's people that still think it's one of the best of all time. So
well, and they made their money back.
and they made their money
So
back.
it doesn't matter. They
Easily.
made $1 billion off it, so it doesn't matter.
So they make The Last Jedi. There's people that come out and say it's the best Star Wars movie ever made. Well,
Good for them.
we won't get into that. There was just so many you even hit it on the nail on the head. My heart sank when in the first 5 minutes, Oscar Isaac is doing a prank call.
I need to know, did Ryan Johnson write that? Because if he did, it's enough to diminish the rest of anything else. If he
that he's ever done.
The prank call scene, so Oscar Isaac, a pilot in the rebellion of Star Wars in a space fleet.
A cool character in the previous
A
movie.
cool character in the previous. I mean, was like by far my favorite character in number 7, I think.
Okay.
For sure. And I was excited. I was like, oh man, this guy, he's going to end up being the hero of the whole show because he's the underdog. Of course he is. He's like the new Han Solo. That's what I thought he was. It was like,
Well,
the
that's
new
what they
Han
wanted
Solo.
him to be, for
Yeah,
sure.
and it yeah, well, that's what they wanted them to be. And then he prank called the Empire. Pulls up to, is it called a Star Destroyer? The
I think so,
big
yeah.
ship called a Star Destroyer, and prank calls him like a 7-year-old kid dialing in the phone.
And you
prank
know
calls
the
him.
audience was dying at it, too.
No, we were all.
Oh, really? I went opening night, and they were dying at that. They thought it was unbelievable. Like the funniest joke in history.
I guess now that I think about it, the audience, I guess, did laugh around me. Maybe I just thought it was so
Well-
dumb, and my parents next to me, or
Yeah.
my friend Joe was with me.
Friend Joe.
My friend Joe, we just looked at each other and we're, oh, no. Oh, no.
But-
Ryan.
It's hard. It's so hard to talk about Star Wars, I think, because there's so many fucking things to talk about. But that's when I knew, like, okay, this is a Disney Star Wars movie because it feels like a Marvel movie.
That's what almost, it sounds weird, but that's when I felt like there was a change. Like number 7 still kind of felt like it was supposed to be a Star Wars movie. Like it had the Marvel like feel to it because it looked so good.
Yeah.
But it still kind of felt Star Warsy.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a Marvel movie.
It didn't feel like a Marvel movie. And then the 8th one, they opened with the bad joke, and then Luke, he brushes his shoulder. I was like, oh, this is a Marvel movie. This is bad.
This is bad.
I don't like this. And like Marvel movies are fine because that's how the comics are written. So like I understand why the Marvel movies are the way they are, and like
it's just not your style.
It's a superhero thing. Like, oh yeah, it's you know kind of stupid jokes. Yeah, it's not my style. And then the stupid jokes crossed to Star Wars, and that was the end of the line for me. I was not happy.
And that was it. Before we, I was gonna say before we even finish with The Last Jedi. So you don't like Marvel movies, correct?
I like Marvel movies. Like they're fine. None of the Marvel movies are my favorite. You know what? Like the first Iron Man, I think is awesome. And like, did Disney even control it back when it was the first Iron Man? Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Well, the first Iron Man, I felt like was really awesome, and it was good. And when that came out, it was like the same thing. It was, I think, right after The Dark Knight.
It was right before Dark Knight.
It was right before The Dark Knight. So those two just really were unbelievable. And then all of a sudden, you know, you got Iron Man 2's got some bad jokes. You got the Incredible Hulk comes out, and so I didn't see another one until Guardians of the Galaxy. And I saw that, and I was like,
that was a while, man.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
And then I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, wait a second. Maybe I'm missing out, you know? So I ended up watching probably 16 out of 23 now. I think I'm missing 7.
Isn't that crazy that there's 23 movies in that franchise?
It's crazy that there's 23 movies in that franchise, and they couldn't even do 3 out of 9, right? Star Wars. There's 23 movies, and I've probably seen 16. I don't know. Only the important ones. You know, there were some the first Thor people said was really bad, so I didn't even watch it.
First Thor was really boring. Yeah.
Well, that's what I heard, so I didn't watch it.
Well,
but it just seems like there's a lot of just the humor's just not my style. Like I get if it's funny written down in a comic book, like I can imagine the joke on a comic book and it would make me laugh, but it just doesn't translate to the screen, so it's just not my thing. I don't know.
I am pretty much on the same exact wavelength. So I think Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, I think conceptually is brilliant. Like what Kevin Feige did and how he pulled that off of making you give a shit about something like Guardians of the Galaxy that no one...
It is.
Like, I was never a superhero kid growing up besides, maybe the Spider-Man movies.
Exactly,
that was kind of it. And the fact that he got you to give a shit about all these random-ass characters just because you're like, oh, they're bringing whoever the fuck in, is
That's
wild.
It didn't make sense, but it just re-entered my mind. The one that ended it for me was the first Avengers movie. I saw the very first Avengers movie, and I'm pretty sure, I don't remember if it was Iron Man or somebody was in a fist fight and made a little quip, some little joke. I was like, you're in a fist fight 360 degrees bouncing off cars and you're gonna make a joke over here to Captain America? No, sir. I don't like that.
I mean, I don't like it. Like you said, I understand it's the style of comic book people want that kind of shit.
Yeah, comic book people want that. I'm thinking about it and I'm like, okay, if I suspend it and I'm like, okay, that is funny. Iron Man's, beating up somebody and yells something stupid to Captain America. But for me, I just want to watch the fight. And I just don't like that humor style. And so going from there to when it all connected, I watched the next couple ones and I watched Endgame and I was like, okay, I'm going to give the first Avengers a try again. And I was hyped because I knew everything about everything. I was, the blue stone is in there and they're going to come back and get it. What? This is incredible. Just the fact that they can connect all the movies and have people like me and you right now talking about the Infinity Stones. It's unbelievable.
The nerdiest shit.
That's what I'm saying. Infinity Stones. I heard my dad say that the other day. I was what?
What?
Infinity Stones? What do you mean? So Kevin Feige and them did a great job.
Yeah. So in that sense, I respect what Marvel did.
Exactly.
At the same token, though, I think the problem with Marvel and the reason we'll bring it back to Star Wars is they all feel like the same exact movie. They all have a slightly different coat of paint depending on the movie.
They do, yeah.
So,
they know what they do.
Yeah,
exactly.
And they do that well. And obviously, they're not going to listen to us two fucks talking on the couch because they're making so much money with Marvel. But.
And again, because I was about to say almost the same thing, because my thing is why can DC not do it? You know what I mean? It's so easy. That's but DC, like, even if I don't like Marvel style, like, DC's just as big as a studio situation, and they're not doing it. You know what I mean?
And that is a fair point.
It's weird that, like, their movies don't fare as well generally in public and with me, but I don't like the Marvel style either, so I don't really know what I want.
I think we're just not superhero people, and that
I'm
gets
not
down to it. But it's a good point that, like, DC has been known to. They're just saying fuck it at this point and just experimenting, which I kind of like.
Which is much better.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying it.
They were like, fuck the cinematic universe. We're just going to make random movies and hope they're good.
And the latest one is what? Joker? What's the latest one?
They made another Harley Quinn movie, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't see the Harley Quinn one, but the Joker movie they made, I was like, okay, I'm signed up. I'm ready to see the next couple of things y'all put out.
See, a lot of people love The Last Jedi, but they think Joker's trash too.
Yeah, I know.
I like Joker a lot. I thought Joker was cool, but
I thought it was
like I said, that because I liked it because it was not a normal superhero type movie that has been releasing.
And I think it's the same thing as Dark Knight. It's like dark and gritty. Well, yeah, Dark Knight, dark. But it's like dark and gritty.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Kind of not a polished superhero.
And a lot of people say ripped off Taxi Driver, and I agree. Like, even Martin Scorsese was supposed to be the producer. He's like, nah, this is too close to what I made. But at the same time, there's some shit in the Joker, like when he's the small midget guy is trying to get out the door and he's like standing over the door.
Yeah,
like
that was
shit
crazy.
like that was awesome. And I was like, okay, no Marvel movie has made me feel that kind of emotion.
I will say, I haven't seen Taxi Driver, which which I have to. I have to see Taxi Driver just because I saw Joker and everyone said it was like Taxi Driver. So I was like, oh, I got to see Taxi Driver.
Of course.
So I'm not sure if they're on a talk show and shoots the host in the head, but that was unbelievable because that was like just watching regular TV in the movie theater, and the Joker just offs the host. It's crazy.
And they wouldn't do that in a Marvel movie for sure.
Well, yeah, no, I don't think they would.
Well, here was the thing with Marvel too is like I think there's certain movies that are better than others. I liked Iron Man, like you said. The OG Iron Man's great.
Of course.
I think The Winter Soldier is really good.
The Winter Soldier is really good too, and that's definitely the best Captain America.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people think it's the best Avengers movie. I don't think so, personally.
I would maybe call it my favorite. I like the first Iron Man a lot. I think Infinity War is great. I didn't like Endgame as much as Infinity War. I thought Infinity War was way better.
And that's where we disagree. But also, I saw, I guess I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, like I said, and then I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then I saw Endgame.
That was it.
So I saw Iron Man, Guardians,
Guardians, so you
Endgame.
Filled in the gaps after Endgame.
So after Endgame,
I
filled in all my gaps. So like, and so then I watched back up to Infinity War, and so I got to watch Endgame again. But so when I watched that, that's what made me watch all the other movies. I was like, oh man, the Endgame is mind blowing. Like this, it blew my mind when I watched it. Which so now I might not like it as much. But when I saw it the first time, it blew my mind.
Solid. I would never watch it again. So put it that way. I thought it was enjoyable when I saw it though.
Maybe after watching all 22 movies, I might have had a different experience. But after watching like 4 or 5, it was awesome.
Well,
I loved it.
They all feel like the same movie, which is why like there's a handful we're talking about. We're like, yeah, those are the better ones, but everything else is the rest kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's say what? So there's the handful of 5 that are like incredible, and then there's the rest are the same, but like. You know, what, is there only like 3 other ones that really kind of shine out of that second tier? You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe. Like, there's a lot of movies that...
the rest are kind of average, right?
They're all the same. Like, I feel the same way about The Incredible Hulk as I feel about Ant-Man, as I feel about... Even Black Panther. I thought Black Panther was kind of the same movie as all the other ones.
Well, Black Panther is one of the ones I still have to catch up on.
Oh, shit. You haven't seen Black Panther yet?
No. I haven't seen Black Panther yet.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Because I saw him in... Black Panther shows up, I guess, in Civil War is the first one, and then I forgot I asked someone, and I was like, is Black Panther like super duper like relevant, or could we go straight from Civil War to Infinity War? So we could just hit them both, and so we just hit bam, Civil War straight to Infinity War.
Okay,
so that's why I haven't seen it yet.
People love Black Panther. I thought it was very okay. I get it,
awesome.
but
he's a cool character.
I mean,
I'm guessing his own movie's got to be sweet, so I just haven't seen it.
Like I said, Marvel movies just are my thing. So
they're all the same.
Especially the jokes, like I said, it fits the comic book thing. But bringing it back to Star Wars now, when I am sitting in that Last Jedi seat and they start ripping the Marvel jokes, I'm like, oh, okay, Disney stepped in.
Exactly. That's exactly my thought was, oh, so this is a Disney movie.
Yeah.
And like I've never thought negatively about that until
that point, though.
But at that moment, I was like, "Oh, this is a Disney. Like, this is not going to be as good." And that was a weird because like every other Disney movie, I'm going to see it in theaters. I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Except that though, that was bad.
And then just the rest of the movie, just like I thought The Last Jedi just was not good, and I stand by that. I haven't rewatched it since. Maybe my opinion could always change.
No,
but
I have. I rewatched it on a plane and I turned it off. It was terrible.
Okay,
it was really bad. I got like 30 minutes into it on a plane, nonetheless.
Yeah, where you have nothing else to do.
And was bored and turned it off. Yeah, but I think if we're gonna talk about one thing in that movie, well, I know we already have. If we're gonna talk about one more thing about that movie before getting into number 9, is that how they just ruined Luke Skywalker's character.
Even Mark Hamill said,
and I know
fundamentally disagree
Even
with
Mark
everything,
Hamill fundamentally disagreed with what they were doing to the character. He is the character.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't write it, but he is the character, and he didn't like it, and it was bad. I don't like what they did in making him mean. There was just no reason.
I think
it's like I get it from the story, but like
it's another thing though. It's like conceptually, I'd be cool with that version of the character. I just don't think they executed it to the best that they could.
Yeah. Also, Mark Hamill doesn't play gruff old man very well.
Yeah, that's a fair point too.
Yeah.
He's not feeling it anymore.
Mark Hamill, he was not a good mean old man. You know what I'm like?
Yeah.
He did not come across. I don't know. He just came across as like, I'm just being mean to you to be mean. Like,
this is what the script
says.
This
is not my actual like cadence.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes no sense. But
9.
Well,
or you got one more thing.
My last thing about Luke Skywalker is when they're on. It's called Crate, the white sand planet with all the red flying up from the blasters. You know what scene I'm talking about. In number
Is it called
8.
Crate?
I don't know, but they're on the white sand planet. I think it's Salt, and they're going with the blasters, and it's doing the red. You know what I mean?
Which visually looks cool.
Which visually looks awesome, and so it's like, oh, this is going to be the big battle scene. This is sweet. The AT-ATs are shooting, and what do you know? Luke Skywalker walks out by himself. AT-ATs coming by himself.
Just
hitting blasters. You can't even see him. There's smoke all around him. No way he survives. And Luke Skywalker steps out of the rubble, out of the smoke. Crazy cinematography, best thing I've ever seen in Star Wars. And what's he do? Brushes his shoulder. It was nothing. Joke. It was terrible. A Marvel joke. Brushes his shoulder. It was nothing.
It was awful.
And I was ready to leave the theater. I was so upset. I was so mad. I was like, wow, that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen a character do. Superhero, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, it doesn't matter. This was the coolest thing I've ever seen a person do in a movie, and you ruined it. Just with that right there. I was so upset. But so 9.
So then it just got... what? So I guess the context to 9
is... You just go ahead.
Okay. There was a part of me, because they brought JJ back, so I was like, I don't think...
And so it was supposed to be the guy who did Jurassic World, you said?
It was supposed to be that guy, and they kicked him out.
Because those movies are bad.
Yeah, and they were like, JJ, we need you back. JJ said, okay.
Those are equally as bad.
Yeah.
Good thing those aren't Disney.
So, I didn't think 9 had a chance of being really good.
No.
But I thought it...
No, well, like, for real, going into it, no, I didn't think there was a chance that it was going to be amazing. I thought there was a chance it could have been like, oh yeah, like a good movie.
I thought it could have been better than 8.
I thought it could have been worth seeing in theaters. Does that make sense? I thought it could have been worth seeing in theaters.
That's
for
fair.
Sure.
And I remember seeing the first trailer. I was like, okay, some of this shit looks cool. When she's like doing the backflip over the TIE fighter, that was cool.
Yeah, when that trailer came out, I was kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, so Rey's once again the most powerful with no training. Yeah. Backflip over a TIE fighter with no training. Interesting. But so, yeah, so the trailers came out, and it looked pretty fine.
So trailer comes out.
Yeah.
And then after watching that, I thought, okay, maybe. And then I remember seeing who the screenwriter was.
And also, yeah, because it's not just that backflip. She does, like, that whole scissor kick thing. Yeah. That was sick. That was sweet.
It was just a cool trail, and I was like, okay, JJ's back. It would make sense that this would at least be an enjoyable movie. That's all it had to be.
At least decent.
Yeah. And then I remember... I forget who made the video, but someone was talking about why Star Wars 9 will suck. And those types of videos, I'm always like, they're clickbaity.
I wish I would have watched it.
They're always like, there's people that are just gonna hate and make content out of it, off it, of course.
They're
So
gonna make money off it.
yeah, but I was just in like a YouTube hole at like 11 at night, so I'm like, okay,
I had to click on it.
yeah, it's like a Monday night. I got nothing going on. I'll watch this 5-10 minute video. And this guy goes, first things first, the screenwriter is this guy whose name I forget, but he wrote Justice League. Which, did you see Justice League?
I didn't see Justice League, but I heard awful things about Justice
I will say
it has the new Wonder Woman in it, like the current
Yeah,
Wonder Woman,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say Justice League. First of all, I knew Justice League just wasn't going to be my type of movie because, like I said, I'm not into the superhero thing.
Right.
But
Exactly.
As a guy that's into filmmaking, I'm going to see whatever the big movie is. You know what I mean? I got to.
I mean, also, like, come on, Avengers. It sounds crazy to say, but like Avengers is Avengers, so like the Justice League is like the same thing. You gotta see it. You know what I mean?
And then I saw it. It was the.
And it did not hold up.
I remember seeing Suicide Squad and thinking, this is awful. And then I saw Justice League.
Would you rather watch Justice League or the New Mutants?
New Mutants.
Whoa. Oh my gosh.
And you saw New Mutants.
I saw New Mutants, and New Mutants, for the record, was bad.
Awful.
It was like New Mutants was like just bad until the last 30 minutes, and then it was awful.
Yeah.
But so you saw Justice League, and that's who it was written by, and it was terrible.
It was awful.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I will say Justice League might be the worst blockbuster I saw the last decade.
Whoa.
Yeah, like
oh my gosh.
Like it was unbelievably like how do you make a movie with like Batman, Superman this bad? I don't know. Like it's got to be somewhat entertaining.
They've done it twice.
I didn't think Batman vs Superman was as bad as people said, but
It's not going to be as good as the new one, right?
I mean,
like,
I hope the Robert Pattinson one's good. I hope that's sweet.
Oh,
but
I meant the Zack Snyder cut. But the
Justice
Robert
League one.
Pattinson one's going to be sweet too.
I'm curious because the people that have been wanting the Snyder cut for so long are going to be like, oh, this is a much better movie. I want to be proven wrong.
It's good.
I'll probably watch it. I'll probably be like, how is this different? And if it's the same type of shit, just longer, I'm going to be unbelievably
He's gonna be really
pissed.
mad.
Yeah.
But I mean, because it's all of his scenes, right? But just edited.
Well, yeah.
together
Well,
by
another thing
someone
was
else.
Joss Whedon, the guy from the Avengers, because Zack Snyder, his kid committed
Yeah,
suicide,
something
whatever. It was a really fucked situation. He was like, all right, I'm walking away.
Right.
Or like, I still don't know if he ended up walking away or if Warner Bros. Is like, yo, we're trying to cut you off type deal.
But he wasn't part of the project.
Yeah, well, he did like half of it, and then
Right.
Joss Whedon, the guy that made Avengers, came on and finished it.
Well,
And if you have two directors with two different visions, it's gonna be shitty.
obviously the two director scheme doesn't work. So
Yeah, as we've proven multiple
not
times on this
recommended,
podcast
yeah.
already.
Gosh.
So I found out he was writing episode 9.
And
I
so
was
you
like,
were bummed.
I was like, okay, yeah, this is not going to be good. Not to say this guy could have completely changed my opinion on him,
But
the worst blockbuster I had seen in 10 years.
and now he's writing the 9th Star Wars
Wars
movie.
movie.
And he's got to be your savior.
Yeah,
and
and
it's
he
not
wasn't.
going to happen.
I saw episode 9 the first day. I remember I went with Malik first thing in the morning before we had work. When I first walked
okay.
out, I was like, this is not good. But I thought it was... I thought it was really not good.
The
I don't know how else
movie
to put
looked
it.
so good that it almost tricked me. The movie looked so good that it almost tricked me into thinking it wasn't terrible. But it was.
I think I thought it was slightly better than 8 at the time because I still subconsciously was like, this could have been better if 8 didn't exist, and I do genuinely
okay.
believe that. So I was at first I was like, maybe 9's a little better than 8, and then I realized, nah, 8's, I probably would watch 8 over 9.
Really, my biggest problem with 9, well, okay, I have a couple of big problems with 9, but like I know that a lot of people have a problem with how it just is kind of like, oh, what are we gonna do? We got to go over here, get this, and then go to the next plane, and then get that thing, and then go to the next plane and get that thing. Like that's honestly fine. That's how a lot of action movies are anyway.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a big problem with that. I really had a problem with like the conceptual stuff. I don't know, like the
what,
fact
for example?
the fact that you can transport a lightsaber all of a sudden, but you haven't been able to do it for the whole rest of the series. You know what I mean?
Wild.
And like, what? Just you can hand over a whole lightsaber to somebody telepathically? That makes no sense. All of a sudden, we just introduce a character that's been dead for 2 movies.
30 years in the
30, not even
timeline.
just dead, but 30 years gone, obliterated, an emperor
Yeah.
gone.
Non-existent.
And then not even explained. It's just written on the words.
Not even explained.
Darth Sidious is back. It's not even explained. Darth Sidious is back.
Yeah, and that's all you're supposed to know, apparently. The guy that wrote Justice League.
I still don't know how he's back.
Yeah.
He just is back.
And then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, I also had a granddaughter. I fucked this other chick and they had kids and they had, like, what?
Yeah, it really makes no sense because also he had, like, no sexualness at all in the first
Who was Palpatine fucking? Yeah.
Palpatine had zero, like, sexual tension, sexual relationship, like, not, like, I don't know, like, now that I'm thinking about it, nothing remotely sexual relationship. It was just all, like, regular stuff. You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden he's got a granddaughter? This makes no sense to me. Never a mention of a wife. Never a mention of a daughter. Like, you'd think somewhere in there, talking to Darth Vader, talking to Yoda, talking to Mace Windu, like a daughter or a wife would come up.
Yeah, something.
I guess not. He's got a granddaughter, though.
Make it make sense. Like you said, I don't fucking... That whole thing, I was kind of just like...
I mean...
At that point... So, I think the problem with 9 was... JJ was kind of pissed at Rian Johnson because he's like, bro, I gave you... I tried to give you an alley-oop.
I tried to give you gold.
Yeah.
You didn't slam dunk it. You missed the
you
whole
did
round.
nothing. And then... A lot of it was... Because in 8, the whole thing was... Nothing matters. It's all... a joke, and then in 9, JJ's kind of like, no, it's not a joke, it's this.
It all matters.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like this creative tension that I've never. What makes this so interesting is I've never seen any other, forget franchise, any other movie deal with a situation like this where it's just so confused in what it's trying to be.
I was gonna say, like, I can't even think of another situation. You know what I mean? In which, like, two directors, like you're saying, like, where they've just gone, like, two totally different ways trying to do the same thing.
And it happened with the biggest franchise in the history of movies.
It's like, even, and it's like you're saying, Marvel had how many, 23 movies, and only 5 of them are directed by the same people. You know what I mean?
If that, like, I don't. There's different combos, but still.
Yeah, I know. Still, it's like they had so many different 6 or 7, 8 different directors going towards one goal, and these guys never even got put in a room with each other, and it's the same people in charge.
It's like, well, now that I've worked for Disney, it's understandable to a degree because there's probably legal things they couldn't do.
It is understandable because you know, I'm gonna tell you how we know it's understandable. It's understandable how somehow Marvel and Star Wars didn't communicate this problem because I got a new job at Disney a few months ago. And, you know, when you get a new job, you go and you tell the people you work for that you're like, oh, you know, I'm leaving. This is my 2 weeks notice. I got a new job, whatever. Well, I didn't do that because why would I? I still worked for the same company. So I was at one Disney location in the parks inside Magic Kingdom, and I was going to a different location within the same park. Not even going to a different park. Not even going to Animal Kingdom, Epcot.
The commute to work's the same.
Going to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
My boss came up to me on the last day and said, oh, Jake, you're leaving? You didn't tell us. It's the same company.
It's the same company.
Why not tell anybody?
Yeah,
but
it's unbelievable, and they did the same thing, just on a huge level.
The fact that the same people are in charge of 2 different studios and can manage 8 directors at one studio, but not manage 2 at the other to, like, get the same goal and same story makes no sense.
Well, it's the leadership. I mean,
it is.
Kathy fucked up.
That's why Jon Favreau is going to be in charge.
Are we going to talk about Mandalorian now? Because we almost recorded this before the last... I don't want to say the last 2 because we were on the same page with the second last episode, but Mandalorian definitely stepped up its game the last 2 episodes. But before that, a lot of people think Mandalorian... Like, people say, yeah, the new movie sucked, but Mandalorian is incredible. I think Mandalorian is a very...
I thought Mandalorian was incredible.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
like,
what do you say?
it's
a very okay. It's a very
well. I think so far with season 2 and season 1, what I saw with Mandalorian is the first half to more like 3/4 of the Mandalorian season 1 was all just filler and nothing important happened. Like, I think there's a lot of potential for really cool Star Wars shows, and they took the approach of, I get the approach of making it a more... Keep in mind, Star Wars is still fucking children's television, so it makes sense to make like a Saturday morning cartoon where you just hop in any episode and what's the Mandalorian doing this week?
It's like not like nothing happens. Like, oh, I got my shit.
But nothing happens.
But it's like nothing. None of the episodes matter to each other. It's like individual side missions where you get the one thing you need for the main mission.
Until the last 2 to 3 to 4 episodes.
And then it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and then it gets really good. I'm like, why did we have the entire first 75% of this season? It's pointless.
It's just, I think it must be for that Saturday cartoon. Oh, the Mandalorian's going to go on a bunch of adventures this week. He's got a new adventure this week. Oh, and also he got a ship for that one thing I'm supposed to remember that's overarching. Like, it's almost like a sitcom.
It's almost like a joke.
Kind of has a story, you know what I mean? And like little things kind of play into it, but every episode is just its own little thing. That's kind of how I feel about Mandalorian. It's whatever.
That's the best way to put it. It's whatever. Like, I remember you were sitting here, Adam was sitting here, I was sitting over there, and Adam goes, I think that was the best episode so far. And you go, I think that was ass. And I was like, the sad part is, you're both right.
It is. It was true. And like I said, I'm really going to have to see what happens in season 3 to determine if I'm going to continue watching.
I think, so, I guess context, the last episode is the one where little baby Yoda is sitting on the stone without spoiling everything, because it's still kind of new.
He's sitting on the Seeing Stone.
Yeah,
that doesn't spoil anything.
Yeah, so that's, at the time of recording, is the last episode that dropped.
That's right, that's the last one that came out.
So maybe the last 2 episodes are the greatest thing Star Wars has ever made.
Yeah.
And we don't know.
And they might be, for sure. And the thing is like, every Friday, I know Mandalorian's coming out, and I'm going to watch. And it's fine. It's just I don't know what's going on. I love Mando. I like the premise of the show, but every episode I watch, I'm like, okay, so you got a new piece of armor this week. That's cool. I didn't really need to know about this whole
episode.
I didn't need to know about you going over to the Forest Kingdom of whatever and doing whatever, and then coming back. Like, give me an individual plot that is relevant.
That's what I'm saying. And they do that at the end of the seasons, which is mad annoying because I think
they do. And then there's 3 episodes that all tie together. But the other ones don't matter.
And they have probably the biggest budget I've ever seen for a TV show. Like, it looks more impressive than Game of Thrones, I'd say, at a lot of points.
I know they have more money and a bigger budget. They have whatever HBO has times 2. I know that Disney has. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on.
And I think what bothers me is, since the last episodes tend to actually be good, I guess, in a way, because not that everything has to be at a certain level of quality. I just think a lot of people get in the routine of saying, oh yeah, this is good, this is fine, and then we get more acceptable shit that is the same thing.
I agree, yeah. And it's not even that these episodes necessarily, like, obviously what I'm about to say, like, if they did connect more to the story and like I liked the stories that those specific episodes were telling, then I would think the show was better. You know what I mean? But it's like, I don't even need those episodes to really be good. Like, I'd need them to connect to the story at this point. Like, the whole thing with the ice, there's one episode in this season with ice spiders. It's like that.
Everyone hated that episode, but we kind of liked that.
We liked that episode, but it's like, okay, so that's never going to connect ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
It literally has zero importance. It just makes no sense why that's even like in the story, is all I'm saying. So it could be this. The episodes would be better for me personally if they connected, but I'm like, I don't even need better episodes. I just need them to connect to a main story.
Yeah, just have a main story and not waste my time.
And it'll make them better because people will like it more instead of being, oh, it's just a filler episode.
Yeah, because I think, everyone's like, this was a filler episode this week. I was like, you dumbasses, every episode's been filler up until the last one. Like,
right,
that's it. And I think, I keep comparing it to Game of Thrones because what made Game of Thrones an engaging show, the show everyone talked about, was every week, the main story was the focus, and it was like, okay, what the fuck's gonna happen this week? Right. Mandalorian, I tend to know, like, no one important is gonna die. Like, it's more like, oh, the only thing the show really has going for it right now is like bringing characters back from the dead, or like
it's true, yeah, or bringing them back just like in general. You like the Marshal, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it kind of pisses me off a little bit because I'm like, Disney, you have so much money that you don't need to waste our fucking time like this.
What I'm thinking now is interesting because we keep talking about Game of Thrones. Is that, like, I think, well, number one, what I was going to say is that Star Wars, it's interesting that in The Mandalorian in Season 2, we've only seen the main villain. This is now the second time in Season 2.
Yeah.
You know, the main villain of the whole show. You know what I mean? We've only now
Was
seen
a
him.
great actor.
Yeah, with a great actor, and this is episode 6 or 7, or I think 6, maybe.
Season 2, episode 6.
Yeah, season 2, episode 6, and we've only seen him twice this season, which is crazy. And that leads into, like, you're talking about how Game of Thrones might be better, and it's like, well, that whole show is about the relationship between the characters.
Yeah, and you're seeing everyone consistently.
And The Mandalorian, it's him and a puppet that doesn't talk. You know what I mean? And his, like, sidekick girl that was going to be awesome and be a sidekick, she's gone, so they can't have a relationship to talk. The one woman that was in love with him can't talk to her. Like, the other guy, what's his name? The boxer in Rocky.
Apollo Creed.
Apollo Creed.
That guy,
yeah, whatever his name is. He directed one of them, but, you know, he's never around, so they can't have a relationship. So it's like we're just watching this guy drift through space.
I mean,
and like come to a planet every now and then. And that's what it is. It's like, oh, well, this would be better if he like actually had relationships that cause drama. You know what I mean?
I think it would be better if he was just an interesting. We keep talking
about this. Yeah, I like Mandalorian.
We keep talking about this because I think the reason Mandalorian isn't that interesting. Not that is not interesting. I think the guy is an interesting character, right?
Yeah.
And he's a fun character to look at.
Sure.
But he's like a good side character. He's the good like number 2, number 3 guy on the show. He's not the guy you make a show after. He's like the guy that people would make a little fan short film about because they're like, oh, it's so cool.
I mean, like, I think he needs a better sidekick is what it is. I mean, like, Baby Yoda's cool, but he needs someone to relate to and talk to. You know, like Walter White, not that interesting.
I completely disagree on that.
He's a chemistry teacher and he makes meth. You know what I mean? But
that's like, way more interesting. He's
like a straight of the line guy, but then Jesse causes all of these problems that Walter then has to deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what makes Walter, because he has to like deal with this and like grip with his sidekicks like stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And the Mandalorian, he's just like protecting this thing he always holds. It's not like we're just now kind of getting some drama.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's it.
Not to spoil anything, we're just now kind of getting some drama.
Just finally fucking get into it.
If he had Jesse Pinkman running around, I'm sure the Mandalorian would be a lot more interesting.
Yeah, they need Jesse. They need some meth on the Star Wars land for sure.
Yeah, a zany guy. They need a zany character.
Who would you put in there? What zany character? If you could come up with one.
Oh goodness!
Like from another show, would you put Jesse in there?
Honestly, someone like Jesse would be good for the Mandalorian because, you know, he's got.
Well, they got Bill Burr.
He's got a little. Honestly, I think that if Bill Burr was around more, but he would have to like. The key is that, like, Bill Burr.
There needs to be someone in every episode with him.
There needs to be a sidekick in every episode with him, I think, or like if he had a crew, you know, and so like not. It doesn't always have to be the same people, but like if he had like his little same person with him all the time, that was always on the same mission as him, trying to do good, but of course does it the wrong way, and then the Mandalorian's got to fix it, and then it's like, okay, that was an interesting.
Well, that's the thing; they kind of do that, but it's what people you don't give a shit about,
right?
Too.
So if it was one character the whole time messing up instead of one character, then I think that it would be better because he would have like an actual relationship with them. Yeah. You know, like Walter with Jesse and so on, whatever.
And that's what they need. They need something. I mean, I'm still excited for. I don't know if I should be excited, but I'm excited for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show because I think Ewan McGregor's great. It's a mini-series, so it's not like there's going to be seasons where Mandalorian, it could be 10 seasons, we don't know.
They got to nail it.
They have to. That's going to be the deal breaker for, I think, Disney Plus. And also, Disney Plus in general hasn't been putting out anything.
And they just lost, as of like yesterday, from whenever we're recording this, whatever, it's December 6th, yesterday, Disney Plus lost another executive to Netflix. They're like person who is in charge of all of nonfiction.
Oh shit!
Dipped in Netflix. So
what's Disney up to?
Disney Plus. I don't know what's going on.
I think Disney Plus just doesn't have any. Like it's been out for a year now. Like I saw a video on Twitter. It was like happy 1 year plus, and I'm like, what the fuck came out? The Mandalorian. That's it. One season. What else came out?
Imagineering Story was good.
I didn't watch that. That's a documentary show.
Imagineering Story was a documentary show, and it's
kind of just like how he made Disney World,
but
right?
you didn't see it and don't even know what it's about.
Yeah.
It's basically Imagineering Story is basically about the making of Disneyland, Disney World, all the parks, and then it goes into kind of like Animal Kingdom and all like the Imagineering behind that. So it's just like all the engineering and like creative ideas that go into like how Disney does their stuff.
Okay, that sounds cool. Yeah. But that being said, that sounds like something I could also just watch on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like
It is. Yeah,
I think
you're
you
right.
need to justify the $10 a month or whatever Disney Plus is purchase, and I don't think they are really earning it right now.
Yeah, well, the only reason that I differ is if you want to show your kids a Disney movie, there's no other platform.
Well, yeah, no,
And that's so if you got kids, it's worth it. If you don't,
yeah,
probably
if you got kids or you're just like we know Disney freaks because we fucking work for the company that's all they watch.
Well,
yeah,
if the only thing you watch is Disney movies, definitely worth it. But I am drawn more to Netflix.
yeah, well,
you know
for
what
sure.
I mean?
But I think you have an obligation of you have to be putting out new content if you have a streaming service. And the fact that nothing of importance came out in between Mandalorian season 1 and 2, a year?
Relying on just your old movies to keep the streaming service alive kind of sucks. It definitely does.
Exactly. Suck. And the fact that they have Marvel shows planned, like I said, we're not Marvel fans, but that's still like a Marvel show and then a Star Wars show and a Marvel show, like something.
Where have the Marvel shows been? Because I heard about the Marvel shows before Disney Plus came out, and now here we are a little over a year later. It is a year later, and there hasn't been a Marvel show, which is their biggest moneymaker, so it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. I don't know what they're up to. And then
they got a plan. You know what they're up to. They're waiting for people like us to say it's not working, and then they're gonna drop a Marvel show, Star Wars show, Marvel show. Yep.
And they got Pixar now. They got Soul. Well, that's the thing we talk about real quick.
And Soul's coming out on streaming
for free. Well, not free. If you have the streaming service, you're not paying like $30. Like if you wanted to buy,
it's coming out on streaming. Right, exactly.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Another thing, I know we've been talking Star Wars for like a fucking hour, but it's one thing I think is worth talking about real quick because it's super relevant. If you don't know, Warner Brothers this week.
That's right. Yep.
Announced that their entire 2021 slate is going to be. They're going to do a limited theater run, like a month-ish
I saw
run.
that. Yeah.
But the same day, it's going to be available on HBO Max.
So you can still go see it in the theater if you want, but no one's going to.
But no one's going to.
But no one's going to.
Even me, who loves the theater, I might go, but it's also like I have HBO Max.
Right. Yeah, and it's one. I was going to say, especially right now, like, during a pandemic time, no one's going to go, but it's going to become the norm.
Theaters are
becoming the norm.
Yeah, so if you don't know what Warner Bros. Slate was, they have Wonder Woman. They have Godzilla versus King Kong next year.
That's right.
They have the new Space Jam. They had, I forget everything else. The Suicide Squad movie. That's supposed to be better because it's the guy that made Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
so it's like a
I
real
didn't know
director.
He was attached to that.
Okay. Yeah, he's the director. So people are like, "Oh, this might actually be good."
Okay. So all of that's coming out on HBO Max.
Dune, which I'm excited for.
You have to pay for HBO Max.
Yeah, I mean it's a streaming service.
It's like if you pay for HBO, you have HBO Max.
Yes.
So it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, I mean HBO Max is like the best streaming service in my opinion, just because it has whatever you're looking for. It has it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, first of all, if we're talking just straight up shows, HBO has the best shows for sure. It's indisputable.
Yeah. They do have the best dramas.
Yeah,
I don't know about comedies, but they got the best dramas.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Sure. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
We watched one.
We watched one of them. Yeah, it was funny. We got to watch more. We got to watch more. Yeah.
I've seen the first season of Entourage. Entourage is pretty great. There's some good stuff on there. They don't have like The Office, but they acquired South Park.
They do have incredible like shows though. Yeah. Definitely stuff that like you want to binge. You're like, I got to see the next episode. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
They got that. They got
all the movies.
Comedy Central. No, not Comedy Central. I was thinking of Cartoon Network. But if you have Cartoon Network, that's something. I don't watch Cartoon Network anymore. But shit,
you got Rick and Morty.
Does HBO Max have Rick and Morty? I didn't even know that.
No, you were saying Cartoon Network, so I said.
Oh. Okay. They have that. Whatever the anime service is, I think it's Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll,
I'm not like into
I'm not
that
into
kind of stuff
either, but they do have all of the anime.
That's what I'm saying. If you are that person, though, they got that. And for me, they got Turner Classic Movies, which is basically a lot of the Criterion movies.
And that's right. That's all the old movies, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the type of shit I like.
Time.
Yeah, so they have the best variety. And now, if you're dropping all these big movies, it's
on there as well. So you're gonna have all the old movies and all the new movies.
Yeah,
it's unreal.
Like. They're done. So connecting that to Soul, like all these things are going to be on streaming services now. Day one. Like I said, I love the movie theater. The movie theater is going to die.
I hope not. I want it to stay alive.
Well, here's the thing. Movie theater is going to stick around. It's going to be more like an event, though. And I know people said it was always an event, but it's more like, I remember it was either Spielberg or Lucas said the way they saw cinema going was going to a movie theater is going to be like going to see a Broadway play. Like
that would be cool if that's how it ended up being. That'd be sweet.
It's going to be a bougie experience. It's going to be like the massive of the massive screens because that's all it's going to be worth paying for. And
That's true. Only IMAX.
Yeah, it's going to be mad expensive to go. It'll probably be like $30-$40 a person.
Well, what I'm going to say is that, and this is also going to connect back to Star Wars, because out of the newest 3 movies, we were talking about this a few days ago, just how none of these, they don't feel like epics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the original Star Wars movies are like, that was an epic. Lord of the Rings is an epic. Like, that is watching a 4-hour, that is a movie. You know what I mean? An epic movie. So, like, if we got those in cinemas, I'd be down. But
well, that's the thing. All the epics now are under Disney.
I'm not going to go watch Freaky with Vince Vaughn for $40 on IMAX.
Yeah, exactly. It'd just be a hard sell.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do it. And I think TVs are getting better. More people, and better TVs are getting cheaper. Like, we almost got a 70-inch TV because we saw a 70-inch 4K TV for, I think it was like $600, which I don't want to drop $600. But that being said, if we split it between 4 roommates, hell yeah, I would spend $150.
I haven't seen a bad quality TV in like 10 years.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? I really and truly, like, I haven't seen a bad quality TV in a long time.
And you don't need a crazy surround stereo anymore because you can get a really nice sound bar that delivers.
Sound bar is better than a lot of stereo. It really is.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Awesome. Yeah.
But if that's going to go down, then someone's just going to have to make some more epic movies for me to pay $30. Because right now, like, yeah, I guess Infinity War and Endgame were like kind of epics, but it was only because they connected to like other stories.
That's
what
I'm saying.
I mean? Yeah.
And another reason, like, if theaters are going to die, right? You're telling me if it comes down to that. Well, first of all, it's gonna be a more mature experience because if it's $40 a ticket, and I have a family of 6 or some shit, my ass ain't going to the movie theater.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. It's gonna be date night.
That's like $240 for 6 people. If that's what the movie theater is gonna be, hell no.
Sick. It's gonna be date night.
It's gonna
maybe.
That's what going to the movie theater is gonna be like. You go, it's gonna be this really nice velvet seat, maybe like a love seat action or something going on.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice, and you're gonna get a really expensive bottle of champagne with your ticket probably because it's gonna be fucking crazy.
I'm down with that. Honestly, you're selling me on it right now. You're not
movie
turning
theater
me
with
away.
champagne.
You're selling me more on it.
The AMC dining is gonna be way cooler.
They should die. Movie theaters should die. This is gonna happen.
Absolutely, and then it's just gonna be like that. It's just gonna be so bougie and expensive, and what the fuck, and we'll be seeing Star Wars 11 there.
A cool thing that will come out of that is going to be underground screenings.
What do you mean by underground screenings?
So a cool thing that would come out of that is if there were big, huge movie theaters like that, then I think that there would be opportunities where you could be hit up and it'd be like, hey, you know, I'm just using La La Land because it's my favorite movie, but like, oh, hey, like, we're going to play La La Land on a projector, like, at the bar, you know, at whatever our local bar in the back room is. We're going to be having it on. So, like, that could be a cool thing that comes out of that.
That could be really sweet.
But, you know, no one's going to make money off that.
Yeah, except
the bars, maybe.
Yeah,
they charge
maybe.
a cover.
Exactly. But, yeah, it's a sad time. It's a time we also come in. There's some people that still say, oh, this isn't going to kill movie theaters. You're an idiot if you don't think it's going to kill movie theaters. They were dying before the pandemic.
That's going to hurt bad. It really is.
It's going to hurt so bad they're not going to exist anymore, dude. Like, they're done.
Yeah, no, the more you say it, the more I believe it, and the less happy I get, because I love going to the
I'm a pretty optimistic person, so I'm going to optimistically tell you movie theaters they're done. You're never going to sit in one again. Unless you hurry up. Yeah.
I love going to the movie.
I do too. AMC's basically bankrupt at this point. Like, their ass is about to shut down.
Well, that's because they let everyone see as many movies as they want.
That's true. They tried to follow MoviePass, and look where it led them. Right where MoviePass ended up.
Well, just like with everyone else. Just like with all the other theaters. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
So I guess that's that. We've been talking for a long ass time.
We talked way more about Star Wars than I thought we were going to.
I know. We had a couple. We were going to talk about Bumble. I don't think we got time anymore. Like that.
There's going to be another podcast.
Hey, yeah,
there's going to be a number 2.
When it was back, absolutely. So
that Bumble story is funny. So we're going to have to keep that around. We'll have to save that.
We have to save the Bumble talk for sure. Even though I'm in a relationship, I still have Bumble stories. But this man,
I have wild Bumble stories.
Yeah, he woke up and he was like, "You won't even believe what this girl told me." Like. It's crazy.
Look, I'll just tell the story real quick.
Just slide that one in there.
This will be the last thing. You can use this as the trailer on YouTube.
Oh shit! Okay.
And then we'll talk about Star Wars for the whole actual episode.
Okay.
I don't even remember what I said to this girl.
But you know the one I'm referring to though, right?
I know which one you're talking about, and so I do remember now. So I matched with this girl on Bumble, and Bumble is the dating service where the girl has to message first, which is great because I'm tired of trying to figure out what to say. So, and it's very obvious that ladies don't either, because I got the simple hi. And I was, okay, so I still got to start the conversation. Wonderful. So I was like, hey, what's up? Somehow we got to talking, blah, blah, blah. Work at Disney. That's cool. What's your favorite ride? I ask politely, as one does. And so she says, oh, I like ride number A, ride number B, ride number C, whatever, ride letter C. And I said, oh, that's cool, ride number A is like fine, I like
fine.
It's like fine, I like it, it's cool. And then, ride number B, that letter B, I wouldn't put that in my top 3. And ride letter C, like that one sounds fine, like that sounds cool, it's still not in my top 3. And then I fell asleep. I responded at 1 a.m. and I had said all that. I woke up the next day at 8:30, check my phone, and have a message that's, well, I'm sorry that my grandma and my mom love those rides and they passed away, and you're just invalidating my feelings about those, and these are my feelings and they're sentimental to me and you're invalidating them. And I'm like, well, I just said that Flight of Passage was my favorite ride. I thought that your 3 rides were just fine.
Whatever.
2 out of the 3 you said I ride every time I go to the park. The other one I don't.
You just took it like that.
I wasn't invalidating your mom and grandma's death. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Did you get unmatched?
I unmatched her.
Okay, that was a good move.
I didn't even respond. I just unmatched her.
Jesus.
What was I going to say back to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's something really.
The options are my bad, which is so you're just going to apologize? No, I didn't, which is no, you didn't invalidate my feelings. How can you say that? Or not respond. So I chose not respond.
Jesus. I don't think I ever had a super positive experience from a dating app. There's people that would go on just to hook up, but I've never had a.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you go on it just for fun, just to fuck around. At least that's what I did when I was single. But
I've definitely have been to a bar and met up for a drink, or most of my experience. I would say 95 of my experiences are. I would say 93% of my experiences are negative, but 98% of people I match with on Tinder, I don't meet in real life. And out of the group that I don't meet, I would say I would get 2% of their numbers. You know what I mean? It's just Tinder or Bumble, whatever, is not a relevant thing, and I don't think anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. Especially in a pandemic, I couldn't even imagine what that shit would look like.
Yeah, especially in a pandemic, because then it's oh, you want to hang out and.
You clean?
You know what I mean? Oh, you've been tested?
Yeah, you're negative?
COVID negative?
Hey, we're in Florida, man. We're in a popular place for it.
That is true. We are, we got to be careful. We need to get off the dating apps around.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're already off them. I need to get off them. There's not positive experiences around here.
That's the thing. I never took it seriously. I have screenshots on my phone still from conversations I'd have that I would show. I showed you a couple of them. I would just see the most ridiculous shit I could say,
and it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
The thing is this none. While you're swiping, it's okay, none of these people are real. And then even when you match, it's well, this isn't a real person.
It's like a robot.
Yeah, this isn't a real person. I've never met them. Whatever. And it's if an experience does go well and you move on from there, and then it's well, this is literally a person. Snapchatting me or texting me that I've never met in my life. This is just weird.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
It's I guess saying they're not real is the best way to put it, though.
Because these people, that's really how I feel about it when I look on my phone. I'm these people don't actually exist. Mm-hmm. And I will never meet them, have never met them. If I ever do meet them, I'll never know it's on You know what I'm saying? This doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. It's just a weird way to look at it, but that's how I feel.
I feel it's just a way to measure do people think I'm hot right now. I think that's the only reason people still use it. I don't think anyone's actually trying to. I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but
I don't get swiped.
I just don't think anyone goes on Bumble or Tinder being oh, I'm gonna find my future soulmate. It just
no. And given I don't think it was ever like that, but especially in the last 3
I didn't think so either, but I've talked to people that thought that way.
Well, I never thought that way, but especially when it first came out, and I was at Mississippi State, the first place I went to college. It felt like everybody kind of used it, and I was okay, anybody I meet on here is someone I actually could meet up with and have a date with. And like maybe it's just because I was at a college town, so everybody was a real college person that I could have met up with. But now it's just like, yeah, like killing time. Like, oh, a match, cool. I guess I'm gonna like text back and forth for a second and see if it goes and does anything. Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's bizarre. And that's the Hanging With Azarian podcast, episode number 4.
Exactly, really.
So, Jake, do you have anything you would like to plug, like social media wise or
All my socials is just Jake Mueller straight across. But the most important one is Letterboxd.
Letterboxd?
Find me on Letterboxd. I think that I leave pretty funny reviews. I get a like from Chase on every single one of my reviews. So
do I? Every single one?
Every single one.
Damn, I'm your biggest fan.
So it must be pretty good.
Yes,
It must be pretty funny.
Like I said, he did make the graphics for the podcast and my YouTube channel.
That's also me. I can do that.
I think Jake's a better graphic designer than he makes himself out to be. His confidence I've seen has risen since quarantine. So
it's going up. It's still not the best, but it's going up.
I had all my boys hit you up already for some art. So there's more to come for sure.
I'm actually a paid artist. It's very nice.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Hey,
paid artist.
It's not fake until you make it because you're doing it.
And I made it, baby.
Yes, sir. So if you're watching the podcast on YouTube, appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe. I guess we're also
subscribe.
on iTunes, Spotify, Google, Podbean, all the other shit. If you're listening from Spotify, check out the YouTube one. Let's see Jake's face. Yeah,
get some views up there and also see my face. I got these pearly whites.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And Jake, I guess my way I end the podcast now is I ask my guest what my outro should be. What should my outro be?
What do I think your outro should be?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want, my design, or do you want my? Or do you want my like? See
whatever
you
the
later?
slogan would be. Yeah.
The slogan. Why I think it would be. And this was Hanging with Azarian, and I'm going to hang some more.